Hello, BookTube. We're continuing on with my 2023 Pointless Library Tour, and we are in a floor-to-ceiling bookcase that is all romance novels. So, if you're not interested in romance as a genre, you are not going to want to watch this video. There's nothing else in it. There's nothing else in the next few library tours. And we have been dealing with, for the most part, with old-style Signet Regency romances, which are a huge sweet tooth of mine. They are the ultimate palate cleanser for me. And that's about to change. we did many shelves, 100 books of those old Regency romances. Now we're moving on to contemporary romances. And I don't mean contemporary in terms of the time, the setting of the story, since quite a few of these are still Regency romances. I mean the modern era, when these category things retreated from the bookstores and suddenly were less popular. These modern Regencies are bigger. They're longer books. They're twice as long, page count-wise. They have far more colorful and lurid covers, far more suggestive covers, far more partial nudity. And yet, despite the fact that they differ from my beloved Signet Regency romances in a lot of ways, all of those, and also most importantly, the explicit nature of the content. In these old Signet Regency romances, nothing actually erotic happens in the book. That's going to happen right after the last page of the book. That doesn't happen in the book itself. The book itself is badinage, misunderstandings, bruised feelings, and the sudden awareness of emotions. The stuff that's in these old Regency romances is very much Jane Austen. And in the modern Regency romances, no, that is not true. In the modern Regency romances and all of these other, the contemporary romances that are mixed in here, the hanky-panky happens right away, or at least is explicitly talked about right away. So you'll notice the change. We're just going to move on. We'll move on, let's see here, with these. So I'm going to try and blast through this whole shelf. I don't know if these will be faster or slower. There will be a great deal of, there are no art covers in the books that we'll be looking at. They are all photo related. In other words, a model comes into the studio. Models come into the studio. You photograph them in costume. You have a row of costumes. You photograph them in costume. You lightly Photoshop a softening of the focus. You maybe Photoshop in a background. But there's nothing like this. With something like this, an artist actually had to sit down and from scratch draw that. And that doesn't happen in any of these. And so all of the participants on the covers become far more recognizable. So this is just a warning, you're going to get more Paul Marin content. This is, for instance, Vanessa Kelly, Sex and the Single Earl. In my opinion, the quintessential Paul Marin cover. And once again, I'm going to put these on the floor for you purists. Also, there'll be, with these modern books, there'll be a lot of step backs. And that's where the cover has a front flap that has the author and the title and the price and whatnot, and an illustration. But then if you turn that front flap, which is not the whole cover, but only 9/10 of it, you get a full color illustration on the inside that furthers the action of the front cover. It's not identical. It's not the front cover artwork minus the header material. It's a different illustration. And it has no header material. So that is a step back, and a lot of these will have that. Here we have Laura Lee Gerke. This is How to Lose a Duke in 10 Days. And that's what I mean by step back. Now you can see there are some elements roughly in common with some of the Regencies that we've seen. There'll be backgrounds, there'll be luscious gowns, but the couple involved here is in the act of coitus. And that is not present in any of the things that we've seen. But you'll notice there are quite a few authors who repeat many times here, because I found that my love of these old Signet Regency romances did not stop me from loving these more contemporary ones. And some authors are better than others, so I follow them. Here we have Laura Lee Gerke again. This is Governess Gone Rogue. This one has no step back. Still a fairly lovely thing there with the choices of background in purple. Then we have Laura Lee Gerke again. This is When the Marquess Met His Match. Another thing that you will notice here, see you go there, an American Heiress in London. Another thing you will notice in these more contemporary Regencies, but also all the other books that we'll be looking at, is books in series, which don't happen, usually don't happen in the old Regency romances. They're usually completely standalone. This has a step back. And see what I mean? The step back will usually further the action of the front cover. You've got the two models, they just take a different pose. But they don't all have, like half the ones that I've shown you haven't had step backs. This one is Lorraine Heath. This is She Tempts the Duke. Very popular male cover model there, whose name I have never been able to determine. This doesn't have a step back. These are all modern Regencies, but they aren't the modern Regencies are not the only thing that we're going to see. For instance, there are contemporary romances. I eased in with Kathleen Woodiwiss and also with these old Regency romances, but then I found a whole world of romances waiting for me, like Jill Shalvis, for instance, who is fantastic. She's only contemporary. And see what I mean here? That has some of the elements of a standard romance cover, but it is very contemporary. The woman is naked, the man is wearing jeans, and there is a picture in the background there that is kind of added in. But you can see that it is a book in a series. It's that's a standard feature. I only know one example of it in the old Signet Regency romances. Then we have The Gunslinger's Guide to Avoiding Matrimony by Michelle McLean. A Western, not a contemporary Western, clapboard houses and all like that. So taking place in the 1800s. Then we have Charis Michael, A Duchess by Midnight. This is Awakened by a Kiss, probably the name of a series. And that's, a perfect example. You've got the florid, lavish dress that is totally fantasy. Nothing like that existed in the Regency period, and no one would ever have worn it if they did. That young woman would certainly have dyed the bright red hair color out of her hair. She would be something else. And a stable hand might partially take his shirt off like that, but not a gentleman. So that's kind of what I mean. You just have to get used to that change. or something more explicit. A lot of these covers are explicitly coitus. That's just what you're looking at, is the act in flagrante delicto. This is Sophie Jordan. The scoundrel falls hard. There is no mistaking what those two people are doing. You just have to. There is no coy suggestion going on about it. Then we have Julia London, A Courtesan's Scandal, another Paul Marin. Here, the step back is, I don't really like this arrangement. Sometimes they will do this, not often, where you'll have a 3/4 cover here that is the title and the author and the price and whatnot. And the step back is still the same picture. These things are now $10 a piece. I think for that price you get two pictures. I'm preaching to the choir there. And we have Ella Quinn. This is The Seduction of Lady Phoebe. A very comparatively traditional Regency cover. Some of them will be. We'll see that some of them are. But the point I wanted to make is that I don't stray towards those. I'll read anything now. To me now, the jump from the Regency, Signet Regency romances, these old traditional Regencies, to the wide breadth of modern fiction just underscored what we've already gone over in the Signet Regencies, which is that the thing that made me come back was how much I loved an author. Not particularly what they were doing. That's true just across any genre. For me, it's the author that I care about. Here we have Julia London, Devil in Tartan, with a border here that is tartan, but you also have a step back. So there he is on the front cover. That you just have to get used to the anachronisms here. He would not, unless he was working in the field, he would not be topless like that. And if he were topless, he wouldn't look like that. That is a very 20th century type body. Then we have Olivia Parker, To Wed a Wicked Earl. High close up there with no step back. Let's see here. We have Christina Dodd, Some Enchanted Evening, which has a very poetic, sort of evocative picture on the front cover, but the step back at least introduces the element of romance. I think he could probably use a little time in the blacksmith's forge. He seems a little willowy. We have Lee Michaels, Just One Season in London. No step back on this one. And Very little in the way of clothing. Let's just keep going here. We'll do the Transwise books first. This is Lee Michaels again, The Mistress's House. See, he is just naked, so you just have to. That's part of the fun of these books. I realized quickly that I had two choices. I could either just categorically object and reject the whole thing, or I could go along with the sense of fun. And once I made the right decision, only one of those decisions is right. When I made the right decision, I realized that, yeah, these ladies are having a ton of fun, bending and breaking the conventions of the old Regency romances that I guarantee you they all read. All of these authors read these things. Pop them all down. Then we have Cat Sebastian, who did a number of parade-worthy books, classic Regencies, just with the same cover style that we've seen already, the same semi-suggestive, semi-clothed cover style that we've seen already. Clearly a historical piece, and yet with lots of liberties taken. Only Cat Sebastian worked in a difference, as you can see. Right there, on the front cover, no coding, no self-loathing, on the cover of a book in the world's most popular reading genre. That's just amazing. That I lived long enough to see it is just amazing. All right, let's keep going here. We have Megan Frampton, the Duke's Duchess, or the Duke's Daughters. No, step back here. We have Megan Frampton again. This is Never Kiss a Duke, unless he's Paul Marin, in which case maybe you can make an exception. We have Terry Spear. This is not a Regency, and this is not a Western. This is kind of supernatural. Romances since in the 21st century are big into shape-shifting supernatural, where the male character is a shapeshifter. He can turn into a bear or a wolf or a jaguar or whatever. I myself believe that did not exist in the 20th century, and as a subgenre of romance, it did not exist, and I firmly believe that it comes 100% from Twilight. But I might be wrong about that. If anyone can tell me what could possibly have affected the rise of an entire subgenre of romance that isn't Twilight, I'd love to hear that theory. I don't think there's anything else that culturally comes close. But this is Terry Spear. This is Silvertown Wolf, Home for the Holidays. It's contemporary, obviously, and you can tell that he's probably the Silvertown Wolf in question. I know some of you purists are wincing at the sound of these books hitting the floor, but I am cleaning up after myself. I'm not leaving these things in piles, and I'm not hurting them. Then we have Cat Sebastian again. It takes two to tumble. And these are much along the lines of the TV show Bridgerton. The TV show Bridgerton takes place in an alternate reality. It doesn't take place in this reality. And so do these books, obviously, since this could not happen. Simply, in actuality, in the Regency period, it could not happen. Nothing like this cover could happen. So you have to sort of gently sidestep into an alternate reality. And I'm okay with doing that. I do that anyway when I read fiction. And then we have Helen K. Demon, or Demon, Her Other Secret. Take the male model, get him in. Of course, he's not in front. The male model is not in front of the ocean. He's in a studio. Get him in, get him to take his shirt off, and then give him something called glasses. Because in the book, he's a nerd. The male model that you are calling into the studio has never even seen a book. He has no idea what it is. He would approach it wrong side up, a little bit angrily, like the two supermodels do in that Ben Stiller movie where they do not understand a computer. They do not understand what it is. Same thing here. Whoever that male model is, does not wear big horn-rimmed glasses, but it's meant to signal visually, this is a contemporary romance, it's meant to signal that the hero will be a nerd, that he will be probably a computer programmer. Then we have Lorraine Heath again, once more, My Darling Rogue. You can tell from the cover, not only because of this cut, but also because the cover has no man on it. And usually a romance will want to signal the romance. A romance novel will want to signal the element of romance, so the step back adds the man. In this case, stooping the woman. because these things, on that one element, these things usually don't leave anything to your imagination. We have Anna Bradley, A Season of Ruin. Notice that the man is holding a gun, but you also notice something else, which is that it's I think, comparatively rarer for a contemporary romance to have only a woman on the cover as opposed to having only a man on the cover. Probably because someone in marketing assumes that the bulk of the readership for these books are women. And although they might be putting themselves imaginatively in the position of the female heroine, they are very much desiring the male heroine. So if you're going to give put only one person on the cover, it should be the man. Here is J.C. Burton. This is contemporary. And this does have a male and a female on the cover, but only one man. This is love after all. Oosh, boosh, 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 boosh. Always nice for Anton to put on a t-shirt, to put on a shirt of any kind. He prefers not to do that, but who's paying attention to him? Let's keep going here. This is another J.C. Burton. This is Love Me Again. Again, who cares about the superhuman when you have a beautiful dog on the cover? J.C. Burton one more time. This is Hope Ignites. That is the cover, and ordinarily I would know where to put my priorities, but not in this case. So boo boo. A big floofy dog of the type that drives Frida insane. She drives them crazy. Oh, well, all right. This is Judith Lansdowne. Oh, a little bit of a throwback here. This is a Zebra Regency romance. A Devilish Dilemma. Okay, this does not belong here. Absolutely not. Let's put that where it does belong. That's weird to even find it here. Then we have A Private Duel with Agent Gunn. This is The Gentleman of Scotland Yard. Again, these things will signal that they're part of a series, although the authors are usually so good that you can jump in anywhere. Usually, I mean, unless it's legendary for that not being the case. J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood, you would be insane to jump in on book 40. That would be insane. But this is by Gillian Stone. And it once again has a foreboding-looking Paul Marin on the cover. They are glaring at you. It's another old-style Regency romance. This is Barbara Metzger, who we've seen many of hers. This is Father Christmas, another pairing of Regency and Christmas time. And it has him. That model. Who is that model? A lot of the others that I don't know, I don't care that I don't know. But with him, I would like to know. He's on a lot of covers. Then we go to a Western. This is Lisa Higdon, Unforgiven. See, these older Regencies from the Fabio era often use such elaborate typescript on the cover that it's hard to read what the word actually is. That is Unforgiven, I believe. There they are. Once again, a very 20th century Soloflex body. No man in the era who was not a blacksmith looked anything like that. You just have to, not that I'm objecting, you just have to put up with that, that's all. Then we have Dangerous by Minerva Spencer. Let's see here. Jodie Thomas, this is contemporary, this is Mistletoe Miracles, proving that it isn't just Regencies that love to link their material with Christmas time. That works really well. A lot of readers really like that. And this, this you can see it on the bottom there, a Ransom Canyon romance. This is also an innovation that largely took off in the 21st century, which is location-based romances, where the location matters. Where putting where this romance takes place on the cover will actually help with sales, because you've created an environment, a place, a town that your readers want to revisit, regardless of who the characters are. That, I think, is fascinating. That nothing like that happens in the old-style Regencies that we've seen for the last few days. The closest that these come is that London is a universally recognized location, but it's not evoked in the way that these are, because these authors are creating their locations from the ground up. All right, we're just going to move on here. Those were the Transwise books. Then we have Anna Bradley again, A Wicked Way to Win an Earl. And this one actually says, first in a new series, books had to do that. They increasingly had to do that so that readers would not feel that they were left out, you know. Then we have the great Eloisa James. This is Desperate Duchess. This has, again, this kind of cover where you've got the title and the author, but then you get the step back, the full step back, where you only get a tease of it originally. Same thing here. We have Born to be Wild by Eloisa James. This is her Wild Brothers series. This is, I think, the best one. But I've read them all. And that is the cover. And then you've got the step back to add more. To add not only a woman in a beautiful gown, but also a little bit of background. A multi-layered stone fountain. We have Valerie Bowman. This is Kiss Me at Christmas. And again, you have the series title down there. And again, the pairing of Christmas, although in here, almost no iconography, you can barely make out that that's a Christmas tree in the background. Let's see. Valerie Bowman again, No Other Duke But You. Part of this series. Here we have a largely pink cover. The pink of the background is designed to coincide with the pink of her gown. Do have a stately pile in the background, but who cares when you've got Paul Marin cracking a very rare smile on the front of the cover, right? He hardly ever does that. He knows which side of his cheekbones his bread is buttered on. Then we have Western. This is This Gun for Hire by Joe Goodman. She is tremendously good. These are tremendously good romance novels. Real lot of meat on their bones, which is not a requirement. That's not what romances are for. They are giving you, most of them are serving you up good, innocent fun. So they don't need to have narrative meat on the bone, and they know it. If you pick one up thinking, well, I'm going to get, Turgenev, and you don't get it, that's you, not them. They have never made any pretenses to that. Then we have another contemporary Western. This is Dirty Little Secret by Jennifer Ryan. You know that it's a contemporary romance not only because the woman is wearing, skin-tight clothing and nothing on her midriff, but also because the man has a rip in his jeans that were bought that way. Whereas if it were in the Old West, that would be a faulty pair of jeans. Someone would have fixed that by now. We have a complete contemporary thing here. This is Molly O'Keefe, Crazy Thing Called Love. Very much knowing this is what I mean by, the man will often have the primary spot on the cover because it's meant to be wish fulfillment in a number of different ways. We have Manda Collins. This is Why Dukes Say I Do. What on earth is going on that cover? I have no idea, but we're not supposed to think on it too much. Here we have Suzanne Enoch. She is fantastic. This is Sin and Sensibility, and shows a trait that I kind of wish we saw more of. I have to think that it would be cheaper to manufacture, which is that the step back is on the cover. It's on the back cover. You've got just a tiny teaser on the back cover, as opposed to blocks of text. You have this on the front cover, and then the artwork for the step back forms the back cover, which I kind of like. Let's see here. Then we have Susanna Enoch again. This is Beginner's Guide to Rakes. Standard step back here. If anything involving Paul Marin can be said to be standard. Let's see. Oh, okay, that's a double. I don't want that. We have Suzanne Enoch again. This is it's getting Scott in here. A Highlander romance. I've never understood the appeal of Highlander. I have quite a few of them, but I've never understood their appeal. We have Suzanne Enoch again, Scott under the covers. She got stuck, or someone at the publisher got stuck in this punning thing and had to churn out 10 books to account for it. Again, you just have the hint of tartan there, not actually helping him much. We have My One True Highlander by Suzanne Enoch. And, do I recognize that cover model? Oh, yes, I do. Okay. Okay, I do. Let's just say in real life, that cover model would never be caught in this position. I'll leave it at that. Less said, the better. Okay, then we have Suzanne Enoch again. Again, somebody got on a titling binge, and the books had to be there to count for it. Hit Me With Your Best Scott. There they are, romping in the heather. If any of you have ever been to the Scottish Highlands and you are tempted to roll around in the heather, please don't. You will really regret it for a long time. It won't just be cleanup. It'll be a long time that you'll regret it. Then we have Suzanne Enoch again, Something Sinful, with a standard step back there. Very, very nice. Notice this is obviously done by models in a studio, but there's a little bit of brushwork being done, a little bit of there's a technical art term for what's going on there, a little bit of intentional scruffing up. Always interesting to see. And then we have Suzanne Enoch again. This is Taming Rafe, and obviously this is the same guy, right? That is the same guy. It's entirely likely that is the same pose. Let's see here. Tracy Ann Warren, another author I really like. This is the Rakes of Cavendish Square series. This is Bedchamber Games, where at least there's an attempt at clothing. that is a 20th century gown, but this is an attempt at clothing. Let's see, we're just going to barrel on here. Tracy Ann Warren again, Happily Bedded Bliss, again, the Rakes of Cavendish Square. where we're just one of the appeals of books in series like this is that you can introduce a large cast of characters. Typically in these modern romances, it's a large brood of brothers. And the focus is on one of the brothers for the particular novel that you're reading, but fans of the book, even if it's the first book in a series, are immediately saying, well, you've got all these other characters, I want to know how all of them fall in love. And they all need their own book. That will even sometimes happen with supporting cast members, second cousins once removed, and sort of thing. And that lends itself. We have Amelia Gray. I just read an Amelia Gray. This is Last Night with the Duke. Nice. Where the blue of her gown blends into the general blue of the background. Very nice. Let's see here. We have Amelia Gray again, Wedding Night with the Earl. This will often, again, be a kind of gimmick that modern authors will run through. They're very fond of multi-book series, obviously, and their publishers are too, for obvious reasons. So a lot of times they will run through the whole of a cast of brothers. A lot of times they will run through all the ranks of the British nobility. So they'll start off with, a baronet, work all the way up to a duke. I think that's what this series is. Yes, Amelia Gray, the Earl Next Door. With a house just barely visible in the background is mainly what they're doing in the foreground. And then what rank are you going to be? Oh, not a rank at all. Gone with the Rogue for Amelia Gray. So we're starting even lower than barons and baronets. Let's just keep going here. Let's see if we can get all the way to the end. This is Ever After by Rachel Lacey. And again, it's nice that Anton is putting on a shirt, but who cares? Since we've got, oops, oh, gross, there's a cat in the basket. Well, I guess that, I suppose. Let's see here. A Winter Wedding by Amanda Forrester. Following on the trend that we had in these traditional Regencies, this is a winter-themed cover. You can't make out any snow, but it's very wintry in its, in its execution. And it isn't just the models in the studio. I mean, it mostly is. But an artist had to do something with this, probably on a computer palette rather than an actual palette. But then we have Alexandra Hawkins. You can't always get the Marquess you want. Very vague, sort of misty background there. We have Liz Carlisle in Love with a Wicked Man. All red. Red flowers, red drapes, red couch, red dress, all red. And then he joins her, and she sits there with him. We even have a hint of artwork in the background, like we saw in all those traditional Regencies. We have Liz Carlisle again. The bride wore scarlet, and yet no. But there is a heavy preponderance of red. And then she joins him on the couch. His muscles are wrong. The couch upholstery is wrong. His hair is wrong. Her hair is wrong for the period, but it doesn't matter. In fact, it matters so little that a lot of the writers of these modern contemporary Regencies don't even bother to put a date at the beginning. They don't even bother to tell you when the thing takes. It takes place in ye olden days. Whereas a lot of the ladies who wrote these earlier signature Regency romances are very particular about the facts. They want you to know that they researched it. So there'll be acts of parliament that will be mentioned. The dates will be given very specifically. The dialogue, the slang will all be very specific to the period. A lot of these things, these contemporary Regencies don't do that at all. They don't even bother. This is Jade Lee, 50 Ways to Ruin a Rake. I think we're on way number 1 on that cover. We have Jill Shalvis again. This is Wrapped Up in You. Another Christmas-themed thing. No rancher would actually put red bows on his post going all the way into the back 40, but for a romance cover it will do, and someone photoshopped a Santa hat on her, and here we have them in front of an ornate Christmas tree, so very much signaling its time period. We have Miss Hilary Schools a Scoundrel by Samantha Grace. That is the scoundrel and his gigantic bursting boobies. A faint hint of Regency background, but no step back. There is no woman even associated with this. It's just him and his boobies. That's all. Then we have Bound by Temptation by Lavinia Kent. Don't know that I have many books by this author. Here the step back is just a detail of the cover. So in this case we have no man, just the woman. We're going to push on here. It'll be a little bit long, but we're almost done with this shelf. And then we'll only have one more shelf of romance to go. Then we have Julianne Long, How the Marquess Was Won. Doesn't look like he needs much convincing. And we have just a detail of the front illustration on the back and no step back. Let's see here. Catherine Caskey, The Most Wicked of Sins. All black cover there. Highly likely that when you see that look on a woman's face, there's usually only one model that she is paired with. If that is the case, it is himself. Look at those cheekbones. Look at that jawline. I tell you. No need to put clothes on him. Then we have Catherine Caskey again. This is How to Engage an Earl. This is an absolutely delightful cover. That I wish that I could find this as an uninterrupted, completely cleaned up, text-free computer background. Because this doesn't have a step back. This has a folding cover. That is the whole illustration right there. That's kind of charming in a way. It doesn't matter that her gown doesn't work. It doesn't matter that her hair is not right, except for a maid. It doesn't matter that his hair definitely isn't right. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. That's just a delightful picture. And you don't get the whole thing. There's no step back showing you the whole thing. So you have to sort of look at it like that. Then we have A Good Rake is Hard to Find by Amanda Collins. No woman. Scarcely any background. No clothes, just naked so-called wish fulfillment. Let's get you out of there. We have Anna Bennett, who's wonderful. This is a debutante diaries novel. This is When You Wish Upon a Rogue, with a mischievous look on her face. The background, lovely, lovely artwork added in there. No step back, no men. Just you're supposed to be intrigued enough just by that cover. Then we have Anna Bennett again. I think a lot of these will be Anna Bennett. This is The Duke is But a Dream. This is also a debutante diaries novel. And because it's a whole series about debutantes who are making their debut in London society, there really aren't many men on the covers. This is another one. First Earl I See Tonight, the best one in the series. Utterly delightful. Just utterly wonderful. I'm going to keep going with Anna Bennett. Yes, but this is the Wayward Wallflowers series, a totally different series. A lot of these authors really hope that their fans will like a series enough to keep it going, and that they can do it again, that they can create a whole new series and get it going again. And that happened with Anna Bennett. This is My Brown-Eyed Earl. Many, many puns in the contemporary romance world on pop songs, only substitute in the name of some rank of the British nobility. Then we have Anna Bennett, I Dared the Duke. Entirely pink cover again. Not just notice the artistic decisions being made here. They're minor compared to creating your own cover, but they are still there. Where the dress, the foreground, the background, the window, the sash, the buildings outside, it's all pink. That's interesting, eye-catching, which I think is the whole point. Then we have Ella Quinn. It Started with a Kiss. I think this is Zebra sort of looking at maybe writing some of these old traditional regencies, but the hanky-panky gets in the way. Not that I'm complaining, but it does get in the way. Then we have Joanna Shupe, or Shoop. I don't know how to say her last name, but I love her books. They are fantastically good. The Rogue of Fifth Avenue. This is an uptown girls romance set in America, for the most part. So a little bit of a difference there. We have Christy Carlisle again, The Duke's Den. This is Anything But a Duke, part of the Duke's Den series. No step back, just lots and lots of suggestive stuff going on there. And then we'll finish up with this last one, which is It's Hard Out Here for a Duke. You see, because the titles often will lampoon or play off pop culture memes of one kind or another, which makes it easy to date the books. This is by Maya Rodale. It's just him. It's just this obviously sex-besotted Duke on the cover. No female conquest, no step back, no nothing like that. Just It's Hard Out Here for a Duke. And that's it. That is a little bit long, but that is another whole shelf. So we will go on. I cannot do the next shelf on the comfort of this chair. There's no way to do that. I would be going all the way out of the camera every single time. So I will have to sit on the floor for the next one. Then we'll be done with romance. So only one more of these to go. I would love my romance collection to be bigger. I'd love it to be 3 times this size, but it's not. I don't encounter them out in the wild very often. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up and put these back on the shelf very neatly. So I will wrap this up, and I will see you next time. Thank you, BookTube.